Hello friends, welcome back to my channel Mukesh English. This is Mukesh Soni. Friends, in this video we are going to have a discussion of the question paper of third semester BCom BBA Generic English March April examination 2023, and this question paper belongs to the Bangalore North University BNU, and the students of BU Bangalore University can also go through this question paper as a practice paper, as a model question paper, or I would say that the important questions from this question paper also may appear in your forthcoming examination. So BU students, don't forget, you and I mean to say BU and BNU has the same syllabus. So BU students can apply, can use this question paper as a practice paper. So for the BNU students, it's a solution of the 2023 examination question paper. So let's begin it. The unit 1 has the weightage for 40 marks. It consists of questions from the play Fire in the Rain, 30 marks, and the speeches, 10 marks. So the very first section is here. You need to answer 2 marks questions from the Fire in the Rain play, and out of 7 questions, you are going to opt here 2 questions. So let's begin it. 2 marks questions. Question number 1: Who was Andhika? Andhaka used to guard Yavakari's hermitage. He is the only blind character in the play. He is Shudra and he is not allowed to enter the hermitage. Question number 2: What conditions were laid by the king in choosing the priest for the fire sacrifice? The priest should be well versed in Vedas and the other holy scriptures. Question number 3: Mention the 2 options given by Lord Indra to Arvasu. Indra says that the wheel of time must roll back if Nitila is to return to life. It must roll forward for the Brahmarakshas to be released. Now Arvasu has a choice to select one option, either to get Nitila's life or to release Brahmarakshas. Question number 4: Why did Yavakri spend why did Yavakri spend 10 years in the forest? Yavakri spent 10 years in the forest to gain universal knowledge from Indra. It was 10 years of rigorous penance. Vishaka is Parvasu's wife. How did Parvasu die in the play? Parvasu walks into the blazing enclosure and dies. He walks into the fire and he dies. Whom does Nitilai represent in the play The Fire and the Rain? She represents the tribes. She's a bold and virtuous tribal girl. So these are the 2 marks questions. Let's move further. Now you need to answer here 5 marks questions, and out of 4 questions you need to opt here 2 questions. You need to answer these questions in a paragraph or in a page. Question number 1: The character sketch of Vishakha. Vishaka, who is about 26 years old and she's married to Parvasu, who is Rebhya's elder son. She's not happy with a married life. Her husband offers up her her husband offers her life first to his sensual appetite, then to his lust for fame. After a year, he used her body and his own like an experimenter, an explorer. Since Parvasu became the chief priest, he didn't come to home for 7 years. He left her to the care of his old lustful father. She suffers all alone. She is physically tortured by her father-in-law. She does all the household chores and fetches water. Her life is joyless and companionless. Loneliness torments her. She expresses her loneliness when she meets Yavakari intimately. Vishakha's truthfulness is an outstanding characteristic. She has suffered so much that she wishes to die. Parvasu appreciates her truthfulness and he says, "You are still my guru." Vishaka hates deceitfulness. When Yavakri tells her that the act of fornicating her was well planned as a prelude to take revenge on her father in law and her husband, she's upset. She exclaims, "Oh my god, Yavakri." She calmly makes up her mind to teach Yavakri a lesson. She knows that Yavakri has sanctified water in his kamandlu. She diverts his attention and pours the entire water out, and she takes revenge. Question number 2: Describe the struggle of Parvasu at the end of the play. Parvasu, who is about 28 years old and he is the eldest son of Rebhya, the king has appointed Parvasu as the chief priest for 7 years long fire sacrifice. Parvasu is unemotional and rational. He is heartless. Parasu kills his own father Rebhya, justifying his murder. He says to Vishaka, "You didn't need to. He deserved to die. He killed Yavakari to disturb me in the last stages of the sacrifice, not to punish Yavakari, but to be even with me. I had to attend to him before he went any farther." A villain by nature, Parvasu treacherously puts the blame of parricide on his younger brother, Youngr, spelling error, on his younger brother Arvasu. He tells him that the fire sacrifice has to go on. So he says to Arvasu, "We must we must atone for father's death. I know I should perform the rites of penitence, but I have to return immediately. So there's only one person who can do that. You, as his son, it's your prerogative and your duty. Cremate the body right now and then concentrate on the penitential rites." So he instructs his own brother to do the final rites, to do the final rites of his own father, because he has to continue the fire sacrifice, the yagna. The betrayal of Arvasu makes Parvasu a real devil. His villainous act reaches its zenith when Parvasu refuses to recognize Arvasu and interrogates him, accuses him of parricide, murderers, and asks the guards to throw him out of the sacrificial enclosure. Parasu, the villain, hypocritically exclaims, "Particide, particide, sorry, patricide, patricide, not particide, patricide, patricide. What is he doing in these sanctified precincts? Throw him out, 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 demon." So as soon as when Arvasu completes the final rites of his father, he goes to the fire sacrificial place. The moment he goes over there, Parvasu gets baffled and he starts shouting, "He's a murderer, murderer, what is he doing here? Throw him out." So he blames his own brother as a murderer of his father. Looking at the assembly of priests and watchers, Parvasu observes that the demon come out to disrupt the sacrifice when it approaches completion. They must be watchful. Parvasu recklessly removes all his competitors, Rebhya, Yavakri, Arvasu, from his path. So it is unimaginable that a priest can do so heinous as Parvasu does. Parasu silently watches the chaos and discretion of the fire sacrifice. He gets up and calmly walks into the blazing sacrificial enclosure. His conscience pricks him and he immolates himself in the fire. And his last act of self sacrifice is his only redeeming act. That's why it's called as an act of expiation. So that's about Parvasu struggle at the end of the play. Question number 3. How does Nitilai make Arvasu to come out from revengeful thoughts? Does she break the chain of the revenge in the play? Nitilai, a tribal girl of 14, beautiful, wise, rational, and intelligent. Nitilai and Arvasu love each other intimately. She's not swayed by sensuality, but she exhibits restraint in making love to Arvasu. When Arvasu is accused of killing his father, he is thrown out of the city. It is Nitilai who has left her husband and nursed Arvasu for 3 days. She looked after Arvasu for 3 days when he was very much injured. Arvasu expresses his desire to meet his brother Parvasu and would like to revenge. Nitilai counsels Arvasu, saying, "Leave that to the gods, Arvasu. Look at your family." Arvasu Yavakri avenges his father's shame by attacking your sister-in-law. Your father avenges her by killing Yavakri. Your brother kills your father, and now you in your turn want vengeance. Where will it all end? When Arvasu could not control his desire to take revenge on his deceitful elder brother Parvasu, she encourages him to face his brother and she says, "Not in hate, Arvasu. In the play, show him how good you are. I'm sure the play will wash off the fear, the anger, Hence, Nitilai is unable to break the chain of revenge in the play, and the revenge continues. Last question for 5 marks. Who creates Brahmarakshas? Explain the role played by Brahmarakshasa in the play. The Fire in the Rain is Girish Karnad's transcreation in English, published in 1998, of the Kannada version of the play, of his own play Agni Mattu Male. Agni Mattu Male. The play is based on the myth of Yavakari, taken from the chapters 135 to 138 of the Vana Parva, the forest canto of the Mahabharata. The Fire in the Rain, with its symbolic and allegorical overtones, is a dramatic representation of the quite essential conflict between good and evil. The play begins with the prologue and is divided into the three acts and ends with an epilogue. The prologue begins with a ritual of a 7 year long fire sacrifice being held by the king of the realm of propitiate Indra, and the god of rains, Parasu, is the chief priest who conducts the ceremony. The supernatural element in the form of Brahma Rakshas, a key figure in the play, is introduced at this point. The Brahma Rakshas is a cursed Brahmin soul caught in the emptiness between death and rebirth, useless, redeemed from the impossible situation. The Brahma Rakshas is doomed to wander restlessly and painfully through eternity. When Vishaka and Yavakri had a meeting secretly, Arvasu and Nitilai reach the place exactly at this time and see the two of them physically involved. Vishaka runs homewards while Arvasu carries a pot of water and follows her. To the surprise, Rabia is back home. On knowing about the incident, Rabia, through his meditation, invokes a Kritya and sends a Brahma Rakshasa to kill Yavakri. So this is how the Yavakari, this is how Brahmarakshas was given birth. So there are two references of Brahmarakshas. One Brahmarakshas who is wandering in the beginning of the play around the fire sacrifice. The second Brahmarakshas who is given birth by Rabhya to kill Yavakari. So this is the role of Brahmarakshas, and finally Brahmarakshas kills Yavakari. And even we also find one more reference about Brahmarakshas at the end of the play, where Brahmarakshas who becomes a reason to end the play, and finally um, Arvasu himself says to Lord Indra, instead of giving life to Nitalai, better you release Brahmarakshas. So Brahmarakshas gets released by the Vardhan of Lord Indra, by the blessings of Lord Indra. So let's move to the part 3 here. Now we shall have a discussion on 10 marks questions from the play Fire in the Rain. Explain the Brahmanical identity. So, what is the role of Brahmanical identity in the present world? And we need to discuss with reference to the play here, The Fire and the Rain. So, we shall have discussion here, Brahmanical identity, not in general, with reference to the play, The Fire and the Rain. The Fire and the Rain is the sixth successful drama of Girish Karnad. It is based on mythology, for which the dramatist has relied heavily on an episode in the Mahabharata. The Fire and the Rain is a translation of his Kannada play Agni Mattu Male. Agni is the Sanskrit word for the fire and acts as a witness at weddings and cremations, and it is also the meme of god of fire. Mattu means and, a spoken Kannada word. Male means rain, pure and simple. In this play, Girish Karnad emphasizes the Brahmanism is a godism. He deals with the merits of Brahminic qualities such as goodness, gentlemanliness, truth, and sacrifice, but condemns the evils like priesthood and inhuman acts of fire sacrifice at the cost of human life. Parvasu, Yavakari, Rabhya, Bhardwaj, and Arvasu belong to a high Brahminic class, and their quest for spiritual power and universal knowledge does not bring them to the state of supremacy, as they are involved in the subhuman, substandard, and unbrahminic acts of jealousy, power hankering, and ruthless curses for total ruin of each other. Brahmins are considered to be the torchbearers of society, but they themselves are lost and misguided in the way of ignoble deeds. The greatest tragedy in the contemporary society is that the educated, talented, meritorious people of the upper strata of the society exploit the underprivileged men and women. Arvasu, the son of Rebhya, a superior Brahmin in the play, the brother of Parvasu, and the chief priest, propounds the values of love, kindness, and humanity as the rarer virtues of mankind. Nitilai, Andhaka, the Shudra, and the state manager, actor manager, they all represent the greater virtues of goodness, humanity, love, kindness, broad mindedness, sense of human touch, and human belonging in the play. These minor characters are represented as the makers of humanistic society, while the major characters represent a class of higher status impassioned, who lack impassioned hearts. So this is about Brahmanic identity. Question number two: bring out the two love stories in the play and discuss the obstacles they face in the society. They face in the society. Grish Kannad's The Fire in the Rain is inspired from the myth of Yavakri. The myth of Yavakri was written in the chapters 135 to 138 of the Vana Parva of Mahabharata. Love is one of the most important issues in The Fire in the Rain. Different characters loved their lovers, but they are all alienated from their lovers due to the class problems, caste struggles, social issues, and many other problems. Although they faced so much danger and torture, they became dared to come close to their lovers. As a result, they were affected and tortured by the orthodox society and marginalized by norms and customs. In the play Fire and the Rain, Nitilai is a hunter girl and Arvasu belonging from a Brahmin family. Though both of them has different class and caste, but they loved each other from the innermost core of the heart. On the other hand, both Vishaka and Yavakri belong to On the other hand, both Vishaka and Yavakri belong to Brahmin family, and they love each other. Though both Nithila and Vishaka loves the lover intensely, but they are not able to get the men as husband, and they are bound to marry other men due to pressure of the family. They are tortured, marginalized, oppressed by the patriarchal society as a gender is female, and society creates the body as taboo. Having female body, they should not be able to focus on the choice which patriarchy demands. As a result, they become abject, but they tried to break the social norms and customs as well as the herd morality and come closer to their lover many times in spite of having restraints from the patriarchy, limitations from the patriarchy. The patriarchy doesn't allow women to break the rules and the regulations of the Orthodox society. As Nitilai and Vishaka did this, they are victimized by the society. Finally, they are murdered even. Not Vishaka. Arvasu loves Nitilai very much, but there's no doubt about Arvasu's profound love for her. But the notion of class hierarchy is always already there in Arvasu's psyche. This idea we find clearly when he said to Nitilai, "You hunters, you only know minor spells and witchcrafts, spirits slithering in shallow caves or dangling on trees, but Yavakarian father and brother can bring out the terrors from the womb of the earth and play with them." Also, Nitilai's love for him is intense when she has not huge respect for Brahmin that we find when she says to Arvasu that, "Do you know why father called the elders in such haste? He always says these high caste men are glad enough to bed a women, but not to wed them." So, due to the class and caste status, they are facing problems from the very first of the play, and even for this reason, they are alienated from their sexual satisfaction before their marriage. As Arvasu said to Nitilai, "All these days I couldn't touch you because because Brahmins don't touch other caste. Now you can't touch me because among hunters, girls don't touch their betrothed. But Arvasu is ready to reject his caste to marry Nitilai. He's ready to reject everything to get Nitilai as a wife. So Arvasu has the scheduled meeting with Nitilai's family members to get the permission of his marriage with Nitilai, but is unable to come in the right time, and as a result, Nitilai's family members reject Nitilai's marriage with Arvasu and forcefully fix Nitilai's marriage with another person of the same tribe. But even after marriage with another person, she doesn't forget Arvasu, and her love for him does not diminish also. Even at the time of acting, Arvasu wants Nitilai's face from the audience, and he says, I don't care for this sea of smiling faces, I want yours. Patriarchy doesn't allow women's extramarital affair, and as a result, she is killed by her brothers and her husband. Though Arvasu gets the offer from Indra to lead Nitila into life, but for some problems or sudden problems, he can't do that. Now we are moving to the sorry, the third question for 10 marks. Importance of fire sacrifice. Comment on the fire sacrifice performed in the play and list the incidents which are driving towards a rain boon by Lord Indra at the end of the play. Fire in the Rain is one of the brilliant plays of Girish Karnad. The play was originally written in Kannada in 1995. The Kannada version of the play was titled Agni Mattu Male. Kannada, and Girish Karnad himself translated the play in English and published in 1998. The play was well received by the audience. Girish Karnad gave 30 years of his life in completing the play. The play is full of many rich and complex ideas. The play basically depicts the myth of Yavakari, Parvasu, and Rebhya, taken from the chapters 135 to 138 of the Vana Parva forest canto of the Mahabharata. It is a story that ascetic Lomasha narrated to the Pandavas who were in their exile at the time. Khanna took the same for his play with some minor changes. The myth is presented by Khanna in such a way that depicts the present scenario. The play is of the importance as it helps to understand the present society. One recurring idea of the play is the idea of sacrifice. In Agni Mattumale, Girish Kannad reimagines the world of Hindu antiquity, and constructs a story of passion, loss, and sacrifice in the context of Vedic ritual, spiritual discipline, social and ethical difference between human agents, and interrelated forms of performance still close to their moments of origin. The play revolves around the fire sacrifice. The fire sacrifice was actually a propitiatory ritual. It was held or organized to end the drought, but sorry, but Parvasu polluted the entire sacrifice by his evil means. The fire sacrifice is the main cause of all the troubles in the play. The fire sacrifice creates a tension of the play and eventually resolves it. The fire sacrifice controls the entire play in the play fire sacrifice, and the play begins and ends with the fire sacrifice. Even the main incidents of the play are related to the fire sacrifice. Yavakri becomes jealous because Parvasu selected the chief priest of the fire sacrifice. This is the reason that Yavakri seduces Vishaka for taking revenge on Parvasu. Yavakri thinks that his father Bhardwaj should be the right man for the post of the chief priest, but that goes to Parvasu. So, fire sacrifice actually has implanted the seed of jealousy in the mind of Yavakri. Yavakri himself says, My father deserved to be invited as the chief priest of the fire sacrifice, but that too went to Parvasu, your husband. Even in the midst of my austerities, I wept when I heard the news. For this reason, Yavakri seduces Vishaka, and this decision has changed the entire plot. Rebbe is jealous of his son because he is the chief priest of the sacrifice. So he kills Yavakri to disturb Parvasu. But this incident changes the life of Arvasu. Arvasu has to meet the elders of Nithalai's village. He gets late because he has to cremate the body of his cousin Yavakri. Indirectly, Arvasu's life is spoiled by the fire sacrifice. Arvasu has to lose his love. On the other hand, Nitilai has to marry the man she doesn't love. Her life is also influenced by the fire sacrifice. The fire sacrifice is the center of the plot. It influences every incident of the play. Rebbe is jealous of his own son Parvasu as he is selected as the chief priest of the sacrifice. Rebbe doesn't want the fire sacrifice to be successful because he is not the chief priest of the sacrifice. He kills Yavakri to disturb his son so that he cannot complete the sacrifice. But ultimately, Parvasu kills his father. He even puts the blame on Arvasu's shoulder for killing their father, for which Arvasu is almost beaten to death by the king's army. So the entire bloodshed is the effect of the sacrifice. Thus, Vishakha once advises Arvasu, spelling error. Thus, Vishakha once advises Arvasu to live his own life and forget about the sacrifice. She says, "Let it go to ruin. Does it matter? There has been enough bloodshed already." Finally, Nitilai has to sacrifice herself to teach Arvasu the true meaning of life. Parvasu realizes his guilt and sacrifices himself. So, rain comes with the realization of the true sacrifice. So, fire sacrifice created the tension of the play, and also the self sacrifice of Arvasu resolves everything. So we can say fire sacrifice is not the one and the only type of sacrifice seen in the play Fire in the Rain. Apart from fire sacrifice, there's a human sacrifice and self sacrifice. The fire sacrifice done in the play is very much similar to that of Vedic sacrifice, but the fire sacrifice of the play gets polluted for various reasons. Girish Kannad has shown us the best and the worst version of fire sacrifice. In this play, the play is not all about the fire sacrifice and its failure. The play is all about the true sacrifice of Arvasu and Nitilai and its success. Both the forms of sacrifice are presented side by side. The true form of sacrifice is presented through the characters of Arvasu and Nitilai. Actually, it is them who make the biggest sacrifice in the play. That is the importance of sacrifice or the fire sacrifice. So, friends, this is how we have discussed here 30 marks questions from the play Fire in the Rain. Now, we are going to have a discussion of the speeches. Four questions are being asked, and out of the four questions you need to answer, you need to opt here two questions, each for 5 marks. So, speeches have the weightage for 10 marks. To begin with, what were the strengths of J.K. Rowling? Describe fear and imagination in a words. A lot of people around the world know J.K. Rowling as the author of Harry Potter's stories. How she had a broken marriage and a single parent, she raised a girl and managed to write books is almost known to everybody. She was the one who gave the commencement address to the Harvard University to the graduates of the year 2008 on 5th June of the same year. So let's have some glimpse of the words of wisdom from the speech of J.K. Rowling. She says, Don't blame your elders to turn you to the wrong direction. Once you're old enough, you have to be mature enough and have to be ready to take the responsibility of all the deeds you have done. She says poverty is romanticized by fools only, as it leads a lot of humiliations. Climbing out of poverty on yourself by your efforts is something to proud of. If you know your parents did the same, rather than criticizing or something, respect them. Failure is a kind of poverty, and it is to overcome too. Some failures are inevitable. Keep yourself ready for failure, but make sure it teaches you a lesson. Failure tells you to strip the inessentials from you. She further says, fear of failure makes you to work harder and smarter in the similar way the desire of success. Failure may guide you to the right arena you belong to. You should convert the rock bottom end and which you reached due to failure into the strong foundation to build your future. It is impossible to live without being failed. During the time followed by the failure, you know the strength of your relations, your abilities, and your inner strengths too. She further says life is not a checklist of your acquisitions or achievements, it is a complicated, difficult, beyond anyone's total control. Speaking about imagination, she says imagination is the unique capacity to envision the stuff which is not here, not there. Human beings are the creatures who can learn without experience the things. It is a unique ability. Use your ability or status to raise your voice for those who have no voice. We do not need magic to transform our world. We have those power already within us. Further, she says the saying for the story, not how long it is, but how good it is, matters the most, applies to the life as well. So these, and finally, this is how her 2008 Harvard University commencement address gives a glimpse into the mind of this celebrated philanthropist and creator. With self deprecating wit, Rowling shares wisdom gleaned from her personal and professional life, credits her success to a blend of failure and imagination. Question number two: what advice does Dr. B.R. Ambedkar give to the women? Dr. Ambedkar measures the progress of a community by the degree of the progress which women have achieved. And when he observes this gathering, he feels both convinced and happy that we have progressed. Dr. Ambedkar gives a piece of advice to women. He says, women should learn to be clean, keep free from all vices, give education to your children, instill ambition among their children, inculcate their minds that they are destined to be great, remove from them all inferiority complexes, don't be in hurry to marry. Marriage is a liability. Speaking on the issue of marriage, Dr. Ambedkar says that marriage should not be imposed upon children unless financially they are able to meet liabilities arising from their marriage. Those who will bear in mind that to have too many children, it's a crime. Speaking on the parental duty, Dr. Ambedkar says that parental duty lies in giving each child a better start than its parents had. Speaking on the women empowerment, he says that let each girl who marries who let each girl who marries stand up to her husband, claim to be her husband's friend and equal, and refuse to be slave. Dr. Ambedkar concludes his speech saying that if the above mentioned advices are followed, women will bring honor and glory to themselves and to the depressed classes. So these are the piece of advices given by Dr. Ambedkar to the women. Third question, the last question from the speech is, how does Bob Dylan show his gratitude towards a great English writer in his speech? In 2016, Bob Dylan was awarded the Nobel Prize in Literature for having created new poetic expressions within the great American song tradition. In his speech, Bob Dylan greeted the members of the Swedish Academy and to all the other distinguished guests in attendance. He mentions that he has been familiar with and reading and absorbing the works of those who were deemed worthy of such a distinction. So he remembers the works of Kipling, Bernard Shaw, Thomas Mann, Paul Burke, Albert Camus, Hemingway. He says these giants of literature whose work are taught in the schoolroom, housed in libraries around the world, and the spoken of in reverent tones have always made a deep impression on him. So these authors have created a great impression on the mind of on the mind of Bob Dylan. He says that he was out on the road when he received the surprising news and it took for him more than few minutes to properly process it. He began to think about William Shakespeare, a great literary figure. He would reckon he thought of himself as a dramatist. Speaking about William Shakespeare, Bob Dylan says that Shakespeare's words were written for the stage and they were meant to be spoken, not read. While writing Hamlet, Shakespeare would have thought a lot of different things like the actor's roles, stage. His creative visions and ambitions were no doubt at the forefront of his mind, but there were also mundane matters to consider and deal with. So he has glorified William Shakespeare's style. The speaker, comparing himself with Shakespeare, remarks that he is also often occupied with the pursuit of his creative endeavors and dealing with all aspects of life's mundane matters. He questions to himself, who are the best musicians for these songs? Am I recording in the right studio? Is this song in the right in the right key? So some things would never change even after 400 years later. Bob Dylan says that he has never asked himself, are my songs literature? So friends, these are the so friends, we have one more question here. I forgot. We have one more question from Narayan Murthy's speech. Explain the key points delivered by Narayan Murthy at Lal Bahadur Shastri Institute of Management Studies. So don't forget, I have done all the speeches, videos, question answers. You can go through the links in my description box, and also on my channel you can see the for playlist third sem BCom BBA generic English BU. You can go through all the links. So what's the answer of this question? This speech was delivered by Mr. Narayan Murthy when he received the Lal Bahadur Shastri National Award for Excellence in Public Administration and Management Sciences for the year 2001 from the Lal Bahadur Shastri Institute of Management, New Delhi. Um, in this speech, Mr. Murthy talks about some of the values we need to learn from the West. Being a leading businessman working throughout the world, he encountered many things, and among that, he tells us about the values we have to learn or acquire from the West. He's not neglecting Indian society's values. India has long cultural tradition, but in the present, the Westerns following great deal of value system, and we are not doing so. That's why he calls his countrymen to follow the Westerners for the values. The key points which we should remember from Mr. Murthy's speech, what we are going to find out from his speech here, he focuses on some key points. Number one, we should respect for the public good. Number two, we should acknowledge the accomplishments of others. Number three, we should be accountable for our own work. Number four, the dignity of labor. Number five, there should be professionalism in our work. Number six, there should be some intellectual independence. And number five, we should honor the contracts. So hence we can say he lists the values that Westerners follow. The community must develop a system of values. Everyone must strengthen equality over the individual and society. It cannot be implemented by the rule of law, but such behavior should be followed by everybody in the society. Then only we can combine the Western values as well as the Indian values. So these are the four questions from the speeches, and this is how I have solved here the 40 marks questions from this question paper. Now we are going to have discussion the remaining 20 marks questions. So let me tell you what do we have in the 20 marks questions. You have here presentation skills. You need to prepare the slides manually. Then you have the paragraph writing. Then you have here product manual and the brochure writing. So these are the questions you have. So answer any one of the following questions. The presentation skills. So draft a presentation on Indian culture and heritage using 5 to 6 slides. So you can pause the video and you can go through the content. So you need to prepare the slides in this manner. If you can draw something, you can draw the images. It will be far better. You can also use a color pencil. You can also give a shade by using different colors like black, or you can also use the pencil to give the shade. So you need to prepare here these slides, and while preparing the slides, give a heading and the subheading. Don't describe the slides, you won't get the marks here. Similarly, you have the option, you have another one more question: draft a presentation on skill development and the way of making startups using 5 to 6 slides. So first slide should be the title slide, second is the introduction, third one onwards you can give the sub points or the subheadings. I have done a separate video on how to prepare the PPTs in the examination. You can go through the videos link in the description box. So this is about the 5 marks presentation skills. Next, you have here paragraph writing. Now here the outline of the paragraph will be given. You need to go through the outline and you need to prepare the paragraph. So this is another question. This is a question for the paragraph writing here. The outline is given about a teacher. When you go through this outline, you can prepare the paragraph. You can pause the video and read the content. Then you have one more option here. So the previous paragraph was about the description of a person, and this paragraph is about a narrative paragraph where you are going to narrate a kind of incident, a kind of event you had held in the past. So you can pause the video and you can read the content. So paragraph writing is for 5 marks. Then later you have here letter writing. So you have business letters, complaint letter, inquiry, sales, complaint, reply to the complaint. So these letters you have here, and you have first question: write a letter to Jai Hind Home Appliances Limited, Belagavi 43, placing an order for 200 fans and 30 LED bulbs for your new guest house. So it's an order letter. So as usual, what you mention here: the sender's address, date, and the receiver's address. Then you have here the salutation: dear sir, madam. Subject: placing an order for 200 fans and 30 LED bulbs. And the body of the letter. Then the description: you can pause the video, you can read the content. Then the description: what is the quantity you would like to order, the name of the product, model number, and the quantity of the product you want to order. Then afterwards, how do you want the kind of a payment? How are you going to do the payment? How do you want the payment has to happen here? When do you want this order to be accomplished? You need to mention. And finally, you have here the complimentary clause. Your sincerely name of the writer, the manager who is writing this letter. So this is how you need to draft. And you have an option here, sales. You have an option. The another question you have: you work as a sales manager for a company which manufactures school bags for schools and colleges. Write a reply to a complaint received by the customer regarding 10 defective bags. So you have sent the bags and the customer has received 10 bags as the defective. So how would you write a reply to the complaint? So you find here sender's address and date, receiver's address, then salutation: dear sir, subject, resolution of complaint, defective school bags. So I'm writing to address the recent issue you brought to our attention regarding 10 defective school bags that you received as a part of your order, dated. I would like to express our sincere apologies for the inconvenience this may have caused you. First and foremost, we take your feedback very seriously and we deeply regret any quality issues you experienced with our products. We understand the importance of providing reliable and durable school bags to schools and colleges, and we are committed to rectifying this situation very promptly. Upon receiving your complaint, our quality control team conducted a thorough investigation into the matter. We have identified the root cause of the defects and have taken immediate steps to address it within our production process to prevent similar issues in the future. In order to resolve this issue, we have already dispatched the new 10 bags and it will reach to you by tomorrow. So you need to mention here the nature of the problem, how have you resolved it, and what is your promising note. Then afterwards you can close the letter saying yours sincerely, Mukesh, sales manager, Shri Bag Smart. So this is the response to the reply to the complaint. So I have done a very separate video on business letters. You can go through my video links, the types of letters, the format of letter writing. That's going to give you more idea. Then next question you have here, product manual. This is a very important question. Here many students are afraid, sir, how to write the product manual. See, your 50-90% of the questions answer is on your question paper only. About the product, you will get all the descriptions on your question paper. So design a product manual for Samsung Galaxy 15 using the following detail. So you can see on the screen here all the details are given on your screen, on your question paper. You just need to organize it. You need to organize and you need to draw an image of the particular product. So I have done a separate video also on how to make a product manual. So you can also watch my video. You can see the description box, you'll get a link. Now what is the answer of this question? So I have tried to answer this question like this. Samsung Galaxy 15 user manual, the image of the product, and the device specifications. I have copied the same specifications from the question paper. Then on the part 2, I have given the table of contents like this, right? Then as far the examination is concerned, we can't write more, but we can give some brief information. Then the precautionary warnings, warranties, support, regulatory compliance. So this is how you need to prepare here the product manual, and you may get here 5 out of 5 if you do like this. Now in option to this, if you don't want to opt this question, you have an option here. What's the option? Brochure writing or brochure designing. Your college is organizing a state level cultural fest competition, Samskruti Utsav. Design a brochure. I also done a video on brochure designing. You can go through the link. Now what's the answer of this question? So the details are given here in your on your question paper. You're given all the details here. You need to write your college name, address, background, vision, mission, registration link, prize, honors, etc. So that's my sample answer. You can you can also it's just a simple answer. Obviously the creativity differs from person to person, person to person. You can do better than me, better than how I have done this. So the sample answer, write the college name and give a title, mention the date, when is the event, a QR code you can mention, a kind of an image of the cultural events image you can mention. You can also list out the names of the events. You can list out the price also, what the price may be given. So this is how you need to prepare the brochure or the poster. So I done the separate videos on the brochure writing, poster making, product manual, presentation skills, and the letter writing. You can go through all the links of the third semester BCom BBA, whatever you have in your syllabus. You can go through the link or you can go through the playlist. So friends, this is how I have tried to solve the question paper of 2023 Bangalore North University, and I would say practice paper for the Bangalore University students. So friends, thank you so much. I wish you good luck for the forthcoming examination. If you have not yet subscribed my channel, please do subscribe. Wish you good luck. Thank you so much.